to Afternoon Express. Now, self-esteem impacts our decision-making process, our relationships, our emotional health, and our overall well-being. Today, we unpack this important topic with relationship therapist and life coach Samantha Adams and one of the Real Housewives of Cape Town, Rushda Musaji. And then in the kitchen, we're serving you a no-fuss chicken satay salad that's high in protein and big on flavor. But first, it's over to Pali and Rushda.
Thank you so much, Z. Now, you may remember her from the cast of The Real Housewives of Cape Town. But for those who do not know Rushda Musaji, she is also a wellness expert and entrepreneur, better known to her fans and avid followers as Rush Tush. Rushda, welcome back to the show. It's also great to see you.
Thanks for having me, Paddy. I appreciate being here.
Girl, entrepreneur, mother. Let me not spoil it. For those who are unfamiliar with Rushda, who are you?
Okay, so my name is Rushda. You can also call me Rush if we're good friends, but a lot of people just yell Rush Tush in the street. But yeah, I'm a mom of four. I have 4 boys. I'm also a wellness entrepreneur. I have a range of wellness products to help women excel in their life. I also have a fitness app, so you can download my fitness app and train with me globally, anywhere in the world. I used to have a gym, but I took everything online. So now you can just find me, click, from your cell phone.
Just that easy. You're not only based online. I mean, you have been part of the all-star cast of The Real Housewives of Cape Town, and being so public with your life, with your family, with your business, I'm sure also comes with some hardships. You know, a lot of negativity, a lot of judgment. Have you ever experienced that?
All the time. You know, but you can't only accept the good.
Yeah.
So with 9 out of 10 good things, there will be 1 out of 10 bad things, you know? So you've got to accept the good with the bad. You can't just look at the positive side. I think that healthy criticism is always good, to sit back and reflect and think about yourself. But if you're doing things with the right intention, then you can sleep well at night. So it doesn't matter what people say if you know who you are.
Absolutely. If it's coming from a pure place, you are unable to deny that. But with the criticism, how then are you able to pick yourself up again? I mean, self-esteem is something huge. Positive self-talk is also something that always needs to be cultivated.
Well, for me, luckily, I don't care what people say about me.
Yes, queen. Full stop.
You know, the conversations that they have about me has got nothing to do with me. That's got everything to do with them, the way that they feel. I feel that if you are pushing envelopes and you are challenging the norm, or you are going against something that people feel comfortable with, you know, the moment you step out of that box that people put you in, or the box that people want you to be in, people start getting itchy, you know, they get uncomfortable, they ask questions about themselves, and in that way, they lash out. So that's got everything to do with them and nothing to do with me. But being the person that I am, it really doesn't bother me at all. I find quite a lot of things entertaining. And also because I don't feed into that. You'll find that people don't openly come forward and try to attack me. They kind of give up, you know, because it's just like this. It's like water off a swan, not even a duck.
We are in the month of April celebrating freedom, and you are a strong advocate for females to have financial freedom in their lives. Why is that so important to you?
Girl, firstly, we're in South Africa.
Yeah.
Secondly, GBV. Thirdly, men. I think it's very important for women to be supported, feel safe, and also be taken care of. But sometimes you can get carried away and swept up in all the romance of feeling secure, but you're never really secure, especially when a man or your partner strips you from your financial freedom. He starts saying things like, I don't want you to study, or, you know, why don't you just stay at home? Don't worry about furthering your career. And slowly, you know, things not to be negative, because I'm just being realistic. And I've seen it happen with so many women who reach out to me saying, I'm devastated, I've let myself go, you know, he took a second wife, he left me, he's cheating, all of these negative things that I unfortunately don't want to talk about on TV this afternoon, but these are the repercussions to how important it is for a woman to be able to stand on her own 2 feet you forget who you are. Your partner comes home, he's like, oh, is this all you did today?
Yeah.
What do men know
You're in
about...
the same position that I left you in the morning.
Yes, because it's impossible to move. If you're staying at home with kids, you're cleaning, you're doing the dishes, you cook, and then you must be sexy and hot on top of it. You know?
Unrealistic expectations.
Yes, so I think it's important for women to be aware and stay grounded with who you are. Because a big part of going to work, or even if it's a side hustle, if it's several side hustles, or working from home, or you need to know who you are. You need to say, listen here, I am not tolerating this abuse. I don't tolerate this kind of conversation in my home. You know, it creates a better and healthier power dynamic. There's not a power play where one feels like he's in control.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Or vice versa, you know?
It's extremely important to be able to strike that balance within the household for each individual in the household to feel empowered and bring their best self to the table.
Yes.
As we are talking about self-esteem and celebrating self-esteem, we really do appreciate you, your confidence. You exude nothing but power. But we'll catch up with you a little bit later in the show. Thank you. Rishta is a real inspiration to all of us. A bit later on in the show, she'll be chatting about how to focus on your strengths and not your weaknesses. But on social media, we would like to know, how do you nurture your self-esteem and cultivate a positive self-image? Leave your comments and please do remember to use the hashtag Afternoon Express.
Express yourself.
Our pharmacies are on the front line of healthcare. This is Pharmacy of the Week.
We have actually 3 goals in the pharmacy. The first one being ensure that our patients get well. And this we do by dispensing and compounding medication, by liaising with doctors and medical aids, by offering advice on drug interactions, possible adverse effects, contraindications. So the second goal is to ensure that people do remain in good health. So we need to encourage them to be compliant with their chronic medication. What's also important is to prevent disease in the first place. And lastly, we have a great team in the back to ensure that we are fully stocked and we can offer our services efficiently. I think People's Pharmacy is your ideal partner in self-care. We offer free advice. We provide you with simple tools like blood pressure, blood sugar, all to help you for self-care. And for people who are leaning towards natural health or alternate health care, we can offer you the expert advice of our nutraceutical advisor.
Yes, they call me the nutraceutical advisor. I work with vitamins, herbs, amino acids, minerals, natural foods, and it's a great privilege because the fact that a lot of people are coming in and they have the best of both worlds here in People's Pharmacy when it comes to either they go for the drugs down the bottom or they come and they talk to me.
Being brave means arriving at work every day despite our challenges and our fears, and with a smile saying, how can I help you today? And I must commend Adcock Ingram. They have supported pharmacy for as long as I can remember.
Pharmacy of the Week, proudly brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave, inspiring communities one pharmacy at a time.
We've been long in the game, healing South Africa one allergy at a time. All the sneezing, runny nose, itching of nose and throat, we've left no stone unturned. Until finally, South Africa recognized us. You've given us the courage to continue to do what we do best. Live, work, play, sleep allergy-free with Allergex Non-Drowsy. Ask your pharmacist for the full allergy range. Brought to you by Adcock Ingram OTC, sponsors of Brave.
Welcome back. Now, self-esteem is how you feel about yourself or the opinion you have about yourself. Joining us now to explore how self-esteem impacts our lives is relationship therapist and life coach Samantha Adams. Welcome to Afternoon Express.
Thank you, Zoraida. Thank you for having me.
So, Sam, I want to ask you, what is the difference between self-worth and self-esteem?
Self-worth is actually the way you believe in yourself, Zoraida.
Okay.
You know, it's how you value yourself.
Okay.
In other words, you know that you are valued, you are loved, and that you actually, you are worthy of having love and respect.
Yes, I love that.
and it's very deep, where self-esteem is more fragile. You know, it comes sometimes from outside sources more than self-worth.
So in other words, others can impact our self-esteem.
100%.
Okay.
Yes.
How do we cultivate resilience in terms of that so that we can become resilient beings that have high levels of self-esteem so that we don't allow other people to impact us?
Right. Well, it's all about looking after oneself.
Okay.
So it starts with yourself. So you have to be positive. You need to forgive yourself. Be kind to yourself. Be encouraging. Just sort of boost yourself up to be able to have that high level of self-esteem and self-worth.
Yes.
So that you know who you are as a person.
So, Sam, one of the big trends, I would say, in the last couple of years has been this term self-care, right? And on social media, you see something called Self-Care Sunday. And in terms of the visual of that, it's kind of like running yourself a bath or meditating or relaxing or, you know, lighting a candle. But that's not really self-care, is it? What is real self-care when you really take care of yourself? Can you give us the steps that someone would take? If I was a client in your practice and I came to you and my self-esteem and my self-care was really low, what were the practical tips you would give me aside from taking a delicious bath on a Sunday?
All those things are important, though, Zoraida. I love taking a bath on a Sunday.
Me time.
Yes, absolutely. And it starts with that. You know, as a mother, as a wife, you need to take care of yourself. I always say take care of yourself so your bucket can be full. That you can, you know, give to others and be the best mom, be the best wife that you possibly can be. So for everybody, I think it's different self-care. You know, it depends on you as an individual. But I think it also starts with the mind. You know, you have to make sure that you have, you know, your mind is clear, that you have positivity in your mind.
I love that. I love that because no amount of baths is going to make you feel positive in terms of your cognition and your thoughts, right?
Yes.
It's something that you've got to cultivate.
That's right, every day. You know, it's the same with eating healthy. You have to feed your body with healthy nutritional supplements, you know, fruit, vegetables, all those things. We love to have junk food, and that's a treat, I say. But, you know, everything about ourselves is componental. So it's about your mind, your spirit, and your body.
Okay. Where do we start?
I think we definitely start with your mind.
Okay.
That affects your thinking, and obviously your thinking then affects your self-esteem and your self-worth.
And what would you say the road to that is? So, you know, for example, what I often find is that you can get confident parents who are a great example, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the children are picking up on that in terms of their younger years, because they're so they tend to be impacted, like we were saying earlier on, by the school ground or what other people think of them. So if you are, for example, going through your teenage years, what would your strategy be in order to cultivate positive thoughts?
Well, firstly, I would say surround yourself with positive people. You know, choose your friends, the people that you hang out with.
Okay.
Because it's always, you know, about the people that are around you is who you actually become.
Okay.
So it's almost like birds of a feather that flock together. It really does happen. So if you are around positive people, you become positive.
Yeah. I like that. Our environment plays such a big role in terms of how we feel about ourselves. And, you know, there's so much that has to do with changing your environment. When you change your environment, you can change the way you feel. And I have to share, I read this lovely stat that says that on a daily basis, we have between 70,000 and 80,000 thoughts per day. And 90% of those thoughts are the thoughts we think every single day on repeat. So if we don't actively make a change to go, this is a negative thought that I'm going to change, then you tend to think about the negative thought every single day. So it's so vital, isn't it, that you catch yourself in a moment where you are having low thoughts about yourself and you shift that immediately.
Absolutely. You have to shift it right when it comes into your mind. Don't allow it to take power and take hold of your thoughts.
Thank you so much, Sam. Remember, self-worth is the cornerstone of personal growth and fulfilling relationships. We hope that this has been an insightful conversation that has inspired you to embark on your own journey with renewed confidence and self-assurance. Stay tuned, because later in the show, we're going to teach you how to use positive affirmations to boost your self-esteem.
Express yourself. Express yourself.
as we continue to explore the very real issues around self-esteem, we're going to discuss how to focus on your strengths rather than your weaknesses. And who better to guide us through this conversation than the incredible Rushta, who is renowned for her positive outlook and unwavering dedication to personal growth. Welcome back, Rushta.
Thanks for having me.
How long have you been in, when I say the industry, I mean like online for the public to see what your life and style is all about?
I think maybe 14 years without giving my age away.
So I think it's wonderful that we're speaking to you about strengths and weaknesses, because I'm sure that during these nearly 2 decades, you've navigated strengths and weaknesses in how you show up.
Yeah, loads of times, loads of instances. But
Please
why
give
do
us
you
an example.
But why do you want to hand your power over to someone else?
I know, but you see, you're evolved. That's why you can say that right now. But tell me about Rushta 14 years ago, which I'm sure, like when you think about your clients, and I know that the women that come to you because you inspire them, you motivate them, and they look up to you. But they are not where you are, right? You are this wonderful, evolved, elevated version. What advice do you give to someone who doesn't have the kind of confidence that you do?
So I think first and foremost, you need to look within yourself. You need to focus on what you think that you might be lacking and work on that. You know, you've got to show up every day for yourself. Do whatever it takes, no matter how rotten you're feeling. I'm not saying pretend and lie and fake it every day, but there are little things that you do for yourself that make you just feel a little bit better. You know? And every day you just show up like her. Every day you show up like her, and eventually people they turn around, they gravitate towards you, and the people that you need in your life will find you. It's no longer like, oh, you need a man. Oh, no, a man needs me, you know? Or sometimes some people are so focused in their career, they lack other areas and they feel they can't connect with people. You know, I feel that success can be lonely as well. And apart from things happen in stages, and you've got to allow that to happen organically for yourself. You can't force situations and things. And another thing that I feel that a lot of women in today's day, they don't understand boundaries. They don't understand, it's not about feminism and equality. It's about respect. And so many times, if you don't respect yourself and you put yourself forward, you have this negative self-talk, people can hear you. Your body can hear you. If I'm talking about myself in a negative way, my body can hear me. And how is it going to respond? How are people around you? How is your partner? How are your kids going to respond to you if you carry on with this negative narrative and rhetoric all the time, you know? And if you start saying positive things, and people around you start saying positive things about themselves, and that way you grow together, I guess,
So you become the example. I honestly feel like I'm sitting in the presence of power, really. And I think it's wonderful, because you obviously arrived at this place for yourself, and how beautiful that you are a mom to 4 boys, because they look at you and they go, that's a woman, and she is power, and she's in her power. I want to take us back to what you do for a living in terms of encouraging women. You know, so much of our low self-esteem and damaged, shameful thoughts about ourselves come from food, and they come from body image. And so I would guess that some people that come to you are not feeling their greatest, right? And they probably don't have the healthiest relationship with food, let alone the healthiest relationship with their bodies. How do you talk them through that journey? Because they look at you and they're like, I want to be you.
Look, it's nice to have an end goal in mind, but remember, we are all different. I'm not saying, I mean, if you look at me, you wouldn't say, I'm a fitness bunny, I don't have like big shoulders, I'm not, you know, overly muscular. Wellness looks different on everyone. And what I want for my body is different to what someone else wants for their body, and that's okay. So your journey is your journey, and every day you need to enjoy it. You can't punish yourself by going to gym. You can't restrict yourself and punish yourself by eating a healthy meal. You should always be celebrating yourself. So I changed the conversation I have with the women that I trained in my gym. I would often have those positive nuggets all the time, you know, and also let's just laugh about it, because why is this so serious? You know, you're gymming, like it's relax, you know, not everything, you don't have to perform.
You don't have to be on all the time.
Yes, and a lot of the times women are very competitive. And in my space...
Why are we?
I don't know what it is. It's a childhood. And, you know, you were saying body image and food.
Your relationship.
And I said, no. It's your childhood.
Yeah.
It's the conversations you had at the dinner table. It's the things your mother told you. It's the things your aunt told your mother. It's what your granny told your mother. It's the things your dad said. You know, what the uncles are saying. It's your childhood. And those are the things that people... What is the thing that's most accessible to many people for them to cope, and it's food.
So I know that you're really strong and that you really evolved in terms of knowing what belongs to other people and what's your stuff. But the truth is that we naturally speaking as human beings, we're wired to focus on the complaints instead of the compliments. When that happens, how do you distance yourself and go, this is not my stuff? Like, what is that thought process for you? Do you go and you work out because you love yourself? What do you do? What are the practical things, the tangible things that you do to make yourself feel good or to know that's not your stuff, that's their stuff?
It's so difficult for me to answer this because I'm not touched by it any longer, you know. There were times where I would get feisty and work myself up maybe, and then my closest would say to me, yeah, but they don't know you like I know you, you know?
Okay.
And that's a privilege to know me like my friends know me.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry for you if, you know, you have nothing better to do, but I have a million things on my to-do list and you are not one of them. So I need to carry on with what is important to me. And you know what? My kids are a lot of my, you know?
Your will.
They smile. I need to wrap it up. My kids are a lot of what makes me feel
anchored.
Yeah, like what?
And at home.
Like everything else is forgotten.
Yeah.
You know, if my son's having a meltdown over a snack, that's more important than...
I love that, Bushra. You know, what I'm getting from you is know yourself. Know thyself. And if you know yourself, then no one else can impact you or take away your self-worth or your self-esteem. Thank you so much. I hope that this conversation serves as a reminder that each of us possess a unique talent, skill, and quality that makes us who we are. So while it's important to acknowledge areas where we can improve on, dwelling on our weaknesses can often overshadow the incredible strengths that we bring to the table.
We're in Zanzibar for Tropical Island of Treasure. Are you? Did you just swim here from South Africa? There's an easier way to find fame and your share of a smooth R1 fortune. Simply upload your audition to social media, explain why you're a match for our celebs. Add the hashtag Tropica and tag @MyTropica, and we could see you in Zanzibar. Buy a Tropica now and enter to be on the island.
Having a low self-esteem can have a huge effect on our lives and relationships, especially when we find coping mechanisms that aren't always healthy, such as the dependency on alcohol. Here to discuss the profound impact that alcoholism has is relationship therapist and life coach Samantha Adams. Now, Samantha, it's a very sensitive topic, especially in South Africa, where the numbers and the statistics on alcoholism is actually scary. But what does alcoholism and self-esteem, what's that correlation between the two?
Well, I think that there is a correlation and definitely impacts the other one. You know, if we have a low self-esteem, we then tend to, you know, go to other things to boost ourselves up a bit and make us feel better about ourselves. And that's where the abuse of alcohol, substance abuse comes in. Domestic violence as well is rife in South Africa especially. So all of those things definitely play a huge role.
But then what are some of those signs and symptoms one must look out for? Because, look, there is drinking alcohol just to cope, you know, take the edge off after a hard day. Then there's alcohol dependency, and then there's full-blown alcoholism. And each stage looks different.
Yes, 100%. So I think the first stage is, you know, someone's just having a casual drink. That increases over time. You find yourself having a drink early in the morning and sometimes late at night, or also having a drink, you know, in secret. That's a sure sign that somebody is heading towards that codependency on alcohol.
It is a very scary thing to kind of look at and approach, especially when a lot of people think, I've got it under control. I've got this. It's not an issue just yet. And this naturally has an impact on family, friends, and your intimate relationships. How does that then look like?
Well, I think that actually leads into, especially with family, you know, with your spouse, that could lead into arguments, it could lead into domestic violence, things could really escalate. Also, I think for your self-care, you tend to neglect your self-care. That's a sure sign of having an alcohol, disorder as well, or dependency rather. You tend to actually let go of yourself. You're not as fun as you used to be. You don't do the things that you used to do before. You don't find enjoyment in the everyday things that you used to do.
And what's so scary to me is a lot of people call it liquid courage. Today we're speaking about self-esteem and positive self-talk and positive self-image. But then when you're then in social settings, when you're with friends, family, and you call it that liquid courage, it gets me out of my box, my shy box. But then it can get a little bit too far, don't you think? It can go far.
Definitely, 100%, because, obviously having alcohol, you feel lighter, you feel a bit tipsy, you have more courage to interact socially. But then over time, you could actually drink and not realize your limit in that moment. You think you're okay, and then only after you realize maybe that, you don't have your normal senses that you had before. And your vision becomes impaired, driving home, becomes dangerous. So there's a danger aspect to it as well.
Well, to be fair, though, alcoholism is not the only coping mechanism that we experience and that we see in society. A lot of people have an addiction, or they look to social media and likes, followers, to be able to boost that self-esteem, to be like, well, online I'm a thing. People love me online, and they use that to feed into their self-esteem. There are so many other aspects and avenues in life that we see this reoccurring theme of just looking for that affirmation from the outside instead of speaking to yourself. You had a beautiful t-shirt on when you came into studio today, and it said, "Love is inside work." Tell us about that.
100%. And I think that rings so true, because love is actually an inside job. So, when it starts with yourself, your self-worth, your self-confidence, all of these things then lead to abuse or substance abuse, or just wanting that acceptance, from our peers. One of the things we also see a lot of is actually eating, overeating, because you feel so low in your self-esteem that I think us women tend to eat.
Emotional eating.
Emotional eating when we're stressed, or, when we're going through something hormonal maybe. It leads into that, and that then comes with its own difficult things that we carry.
A very sensitive subject, but one that needs to be spoken about and one that needs to be tackled head on. Thank you so much, Samantha, for your time.
Only a pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Catch up with you in a bit. Now remember, Mzansi, if you or someone you know is struggling with alcoholism or low self-esteem, reaching out for support is the first step towards healing. Whether it's through therapy, support groups, or other resources, know that help is available. But stay tuned, because after the break, we are going to teach you how to use positive affirmations to boost your self-esteem.
Express yourself. Express yourself.
When you need a pick-me-up, there is nothing like the magic of good, nutritious food to turn your day around. For Rush Tush, that means diving into a bowl of chicken satay salad, and she's here to show us how with Chef Tumi. It's apparently simple, satisfying, and most importantly, it is packed with flavors that'll have you smiling from ear to ear. Welcome to the kitchen.
Thanks for having me.
Now, I get the feeling that you're in the kitchen quite often.
All the
time. Okay, what are we making?
So we are making a chicken satay salad, and as most people know, satay would normally be served on a skewer. It's basically some bite-sized portions of meat that have been put into a delicious, spicy peanut butter sauce or peanut butter dipping sauce, which is what we're going to be doing to the chicken. The only difference is we're serving it in a salad. I mean, before the break, Samantha mentioned how food is one of the biggest causes of people feeling the way they feel. And so it's important for us to make sure that the food we put into our bodies helps us feel better, because when you eat good, you feel good.
Yes.
You know? So that's what we're about to do.
You stole my line.
Girl, I've been studying. So that's what I'm going to start with right now. I've got my chicken, which we've marinated. Ideally, you want to marinate it for an hour or at least overnight to let those flavors go into your chicken and penetrate it, and make sure that you don't have to do too much afterwards. It's been marinated.
How did you marinate it?
So we've got a couple of different things.
I'm here to learn, eh?
For all of those who don't see the ingredients for the marinade, we've got it on afternoonexpress.co.za, but we've got some soy sauce in there. We've got some honey, added a bit of of chilies in there. So that's the idea. What we're trying to do is balance flavors, but also bulk up on the foods that make us feel good. Rushda, you'll be putting the salad together for us. We've made sure to include berries in there, chicken in there, and these are things that actually help you when you are feeling down to actually build up those antioxidants and help you feel much better about it.
No, Samantha's right about that. You know, if you eat junk, you feel junk. If you eat great, you look great and you feel great.
Yeah. I'm going to get started with the satay dressing or the dipping sauce, and it is made, based on peanut butter. So that's our base over here. And it is known for being a spicy sauce. Some people want it thicker, some people want it more runny. For me, it also depends on where it's going. Because it's going into a salad, I like to keep it thick so it just grabs onto whatever it is we're feeding it or eating it with.
Is that a sugar-free and salt-free peanut butter to me?
If that's what you prefer, you're more than welcome to do that, because I also do prefer to have my stuff a little balanced in terms of the sweetness, so that I can then either add or subtract, whereas if it's overly sweet or overly salty, it becomes hard to manage that. So I'm just going to thin it out with a bit of water here. If you don't want to use water, you can have much less peanut butter and then whatever liquid you add. For instance, I could use a miso sauce here. I could use a bit of fish sauce for that saltiness. But in this case, we're going to use a bit of...
and is that normal water or lukewarm? Or?
Just normal water.
Okay, okay.
Yeah. So I'm just going to thin this out by just whisking it around.
You could liquidize that as well, eh?
You could. But I'm also going to add a bit of lime juice in here just for that additional liquid.
Love.
Awesome.
Can we flip this around? I'm just worried it's burning.
So that's the other thing. I'm glad you did that, because what we're trying to do is whenever you're doing anything on the grill, people have that tendency of constantly wanting to
flip. Okay.
Once it's stopped sizzling too much, that's how you know maybe it is time to flip. Okay. So if we look at our chicken, it's perfectly grilled there.
Ah, look at that.
Put it on the grill, forget about it, do everything else together. But I'm doing the chicken, but I feel like there's a lot more work that needs to be done.
There's a salad that needs to be made.
Oh, okay.
So there's Rushda putting all of this together, this cocktail of veggies.
She's putting everything together so that I can then give her the dressing and she can just put it on the top. So Rushda, this is where we want your creativity to come in.
Firstly, I don't like tomatoes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll
So I'm just gonna
and maybe just do half of them.
Just out of sight.
Okay.
I love the red onion. I think the red onion is so aggressive if you have romance later in the day. But I think it's very important for your immune system. And you know, now like all the kiddies are feeling a bit snot-nosed. All the adults are also snot-nosed.
So the onions are good. Really?
Yeah, so the onions are great. I love that. I would have also maybe have included some turmeric for anti-inflammatory properties, but we are following...
As in fresh turmeric?
Yeah.
Okay, would you do that in the salad dressing?
I would have maybe, or maybe in the sauce, or maybe on the chicken.
That's a good idea, you see, where you can play around with it, add it either in the chicken, in the sauce, or even
especially now since it's getting a bit colder. Yeah, I would include all of those kinds of things.
Can I steal one?
Yes,
and because of the type of dish we're making, even stuff like your gingers and your garlic go a long way as well, because they give you those vitamins and minerals, but it also just tastes much better on them.
Berries are huge with antioxidants.
There we go. Took the words out of my mouth. So I love this addition. You guys are in my head.
So Rushda, can we use some of the herbs? Are you okay with herbs?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'll do this, and you can do that one.
Yeah. Is that mint?
That's mint. That's coriander.
Oh, mint and coriander. Okay.
There we go. And we'll use some of this. Great healthy
What is
salad.
this one?
And then you can do the honors of your chicken.
Amazing.
Ma'am, your dressing is over there ready for you to put together.
Thank you so much for assisting. Can I take you home with me?
Are you going to be sharing?
Definitely, why not?
I'll share with everyone because I need a sous chef in my kitchen.
We can definitely do an exchange. We do the wellness with you. I do the food. You do the exercising, you know?
It's a win-win situation.
It's a win-win.
Everyone's self-esteem wins.
Awesome.
I like it. Well, there you go. To get this recipe, all you have to do is head on over to afternoonexpress.co.za.
Ladies, that food looks so delicious. I cannot wait to have a bite earlier. But Z, please do join us for our very next conversation, girl. Come on over. In a world where self-doubt and negativity can often cloud our perception of ourselves, it's essential to implement strategies that promote self-love and confidence. We are now joined once again by relationship therapist and life coach Samantha Adams and Zoraida, who will be discussing the transformative effects of positive affirmations. Ladies, thank you for joining me for such an important conversation. How can, or rather, can you talk me through the process of positive self-affirmations, firstly? And secondly, what makes it such a positive tool and powerful tool?
Well, positive self-affirmation is actually the affirmation, affirming of your self-worth, which in turn is actually a reflection of your core values and your belief system. So once, you turn that into positivity, then what happens is you actually view yourself in a different way.
And it's so interesting how the things you tell yourself, other people feel, they see it. Can you give me some practical examples of affirmations? And if you're happy to share some of your own personal ones.
So, what's a typical thing we often see with affirmations are little stickers on mirrors, right?
Yeah.
I am enough, or I will achieve this. So when you say, for example, I am feeling abundant and I'm feeling joyful. Those are just words, but it's important for your body to feel what abundance feels like, and it's important for your body to feel what joy feels like. So it's important for you to think back to a time where you did feel abundant and you did feel joyful. Then when you are in that state of being where you're feeling that feeling of abundance, that's when you say the affirmation.
Absolutely. I mean, last night I was struggling to sleep. We had this conversation a few weeks back about my struggle with insomnia. And I kind of created my own affirmation. I've been practicing affirmations since I was about 16 years old. Yeah. And I said, I am well, I am swell, I am positive, and I can tell.
Oh, beautiful.
I am well, I am swell, I am peaceful, and I can tell. I am well, I am swell, because I had so many thoughts going on in my mind, jumping from thought to thought, and I felt that lack of peace. How then does self-affirmations and positive self-affirmations compare?
I think they compare in a way that it's all about thinking. So it's mindfulness is about thinking and your thought process. By having positive affirmation practices, it becomes a mindful practice over time. That repetitive repeating over and over to yourself that you are worthy, that you believe in yourself, that you are enough. It all actually ties into together.
I think what's great about that is that it's almost like, when you're trying to calm down or you're trying to find a sense of peace and you say, okay, I'm going to return to my breath. I mean, that's what we do with breath work. The wonderful thing about positive affirmations is that it's an anchoring for you. So say, for example, you're going through a tough time or you're going through a moment where you are navigating some extreme low self-esteem. For you to use your positive affirmation in that moment automatically grounds you.
It brings you back.
Which is lovely.
That is incredible. And that is something that I think I struggle with. Not just the affirmations, but just the consistency of it. Sometimes when I'm going through the absolute most, when I am questioning myself, doubting myself, when some of my goals are not actualizing as quickly as I want them to, or if I'm just feeling low and I need a pick-me-up, I kind of forget to return back to my affirmations. So ladies, how important is consistency within all of this?
I think it's very important, consistency, because it is about being repetitive, saying it to yourself every single morning. I like to start in the morning with my affirmation because it sets the tone for the rest of the day.
I love the word practice because it's exactly what it says it is. You have to practice something in order for it to become habit and in order for it to become second nature. However, what I want to say about what you mentioned earlier on about you not always returning to your affirmations, the fact that you know that, the fact that you have that awareness is so powerful. So if you continue to jump on the wagon again each time you fall, you are practicing. And before you know it, it'll become second nature. You'll go back to your anchor immediately.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It becomes a habit almost.
Yes.
And you remind yourself. Yes. This is such an empowering conversation. I literally have goosebumps. I can talk about this forever. But some people aren't as positive about it. Some people are skeptical. Some people are like, so you're going to just say a bunch of words to yourself and hope for the best. What then do you say to those people? Some people are not sure about affirmations and might not feel as passionately about them.
So I think success leaves clues. And I think if we look at all successful people in the world, from Oprah to Usain Bolt, they will all tell you the same thing. I have visualized this before it became a reality.
Amen.
So we can go, if it's good for them, it's good for me.
It's good for me, and I'm going to leave the conversation right there. Thank you so much, Z. Always a pleasure to have you in such panel discussions. And Samantha, thank you again from a professional standpoint. These conversations are truly so enriching. Now, that was certainly an empowering conversation, reminding us that by incorporating affirmations into our daily routine, we gradually reshape our inner dialogue, cultivating a stronger sense of self-worth and resilience. See you in a bit.
If you love exploring in the kitchen, then you will know all too well that butter is that one secret ingredient that makes everything taste better, right? And today we're going all out and making a garlic butter basted steak, and the hero of the dish is Clover's Butro butter spread that is going to make the steak melt in your mouth.
You had me at garlic butter.
You agree?
Anything is better with a bit of garlic butter on it, and that's what we're going to show you today, how to take simple ingredients and make them epic.
Yes.
And we start with our steak.
Now, tell me about steak, because I don't cook steak that often. I don't eat red meat myself, but my family does. How do you know what part of the steak to get?
Today we're going to be using a sirloin steak because for me, one thing that I love about sirloin is the strip of fat that's right here, because once it's rendered, it literally melts in your mouth just like our butro. So you can either choose that, which for me is one of my top, rump comes second, and the rib eye. There's just something about the cut of those meat where it just has so much flavor. So today we're using a sirloin. I'm going to show you the right way to make a sirloin steak. Perfect. Starts with our oil that's already heating, and people might be like, but it's smoky. What's all of this that's happening here? This is what you want. You want a nice hot pan, because when you put your steak on there, you want it to start cooking from the moment you go.
So it needs to sizzle.
It needs to sizzle because we want that beautiful crust of flavor on the outside. And it is also important to make sure that you at least allow your steak to come out the fridge about 30 minutes before you go into cooking, because you want to make sure that it's an all-round cook once you put it into the pan.
So it needs to be kind of like at room temperature.
Correct, correct. So we're going to start off now with our steak. That's going to go into the pan for us right now. Let me just do this for you here. And as you can see, I've seasoned just the one side.
Yes, with garlic and pepper.
No, for now we've
butter
just...
and pepper.
Correct. So we've just added the pan, the oil in there, seasoned the one side. Going to let that baby do its thing while it's cooking. Then I'm going to go in with the rest of the seasoning here. And then it's going to cook through. Anyone that's in studio right now can probably smell the sizzling flavors I'm talking about. But that's not even where we're going with this, because like we said, we're doing a garlic butter basted steak.
How do you know when to stop cooking? So I know people like their meat quite differently, right? What are the different variations?
I'm going to teach you what we learned in chef school. So this is one of the easiest way to tell how your steak is done, because some people, like you said, like it medium, like myself, medium rare. Some people like it all the way done.
Yeah.
Just make sure that it's not dead. We don't want to kill the steak. We want it to still have some life in it, those juices in there. So for a well-done steak, your last two fingers, your pinky and your thumb, if you fill over just this piece of flesh right here, that's how hard your steak. Can you just show us as well?
So like that?
No, so your pinky and your thumb, and then right here is your piece of meat. This is how, correct. So this is well done.
Okay.
And as you keep going back each finger, that's medium well. And then you go medium. You've got medium rare, and this nice little soft texture here is our...
That is genius.
Easy.
That is so cool.
Easy.
Wow, okay.
All right. So we're going to go now, because we started cooking the one side. I'm going to flip it over and show you. You see how we ignored the steak while I was talking to you? Because we want this.
Oh, wow.
We want this right here, where we want the steak to cook on its own, to render this fat that you can see over there. That's where the flavor is.
Yes.
We let that baby sit now, because we're cooking the rest, the other side of it. And now we get started with our garlic butter point. So do you want to just pass me that butter, so I can show you exactly how we're going to do this?
I have to tell you, this is a staple in my home.
Really?
For those of you that love toast the way I do in my family, I love this because it spreads so easily, so it doesn't land up breaking your bread, and it's so smooth, so creamy, and so delicious.
And see, there's nothing more frustrating than that, when you're just craving a nice slice of toast, and then you go in with the butter and bread that spreads all over. This is a nice spreading butter, so we're going to add it into our garlic butter sauce here. So I'm just going to grate a bit of the garlic into this. And because our steak is already cooked, we don't want to waste too much time. You don't want your garlic in the pan to burn. So we're going in with our garlic.
What if you decided to make that? What is that going to be?
Okay, so this is the basting sauce we were talking about right now.
I mean, in terms of texture, is it going to be medium, rare, well done?
I'm going to do the right thing and go medium rare, because I want to show you guys the right way to do it.
Okay.
For me, I like a steak nice and medium rare. So I'm going to go in with a nice generous scoop, because what this does...
that smells nice.
It creates the sauce we want, because we also don't want it to be too dry, right?
Okay.
So this also ensures that the steak stays nice and juicy as well. So we've added our butro into our pan, and because it's already pre-seasoned, we don't have to add any additional seasoning. And this is where we go, we start basting our steak here. Because the butro is already hot with that oil that we added, it basically basically continues to cook it as you do this. But I want to do it on the fat side so I can show you what happens as we cook. It actually continues to cook the actual steak, this heat that you get from here.
It looks so creamy.
All right, so you can use a spoon, you can use tongs like I'm doing right now. But as you can see, Z, I mean, this steak looks gorgeous. I know you don't eat red
know,
meat, Mama.
I mean, I'm not a meat eater, but I've got to say that I am salivating right now. That smells delicious. It really, really does.
And just look at that gorgeousness. Now you've got the flavor from the herbs, the rosemary, you've got the flavor from the butter, and you've got that garlic butter that we just... And just finish it with a dollop of some of this, and it's going to melt nicely because you know butter melts.
Is there more butter?
Yeah. Okay. We made this beforehand. So we took our butter, added some garlic and some salt
Yes.
and pepper, and this is what you've got.
Love. That looks absolutely amazing. So if you have someone in your life that you want to impress with a knockout dinner, then you have to go with this recipe. You cannot go wrong with a garlic butter basted steak. Just make sure that you cook the steak to their individual liking. You can get this full recipe at afternoonexpress.co.za.
I'd love another one, please, Mommy, with butter and lots of jam.
Another sandwich.
Clover Batro. Spread the dairy goodness. Made with love by Clover.
It's nearly time for us to say goodbye, but before we go, we would like to remind you of the general elections taking place on the 29th of May. Z, in your opinion, why is it so important to vote?
Oh my gosh, Pali, because voting was a privilege and a luxury that was not garnered to many. In fact, most of South Africa, my parents didn't get to vote, and so it's incredibly sentimental and profound and important. And I think that if we don't vote, then we don't have the right to complain or to compliment. We live in a democratic society, and so you've got to use the vote that you have.
Absolutely.
Every vote counts.
Elevate your voice in this time. Now is the time, and we've got a whole surge of young voters coming in, and this is the time you better. I hope that there is no young person, a youth out there who is of legal age to vote who has not registered to vote just yet, because it is absolutely crucial. Now is the time for us to have our voices be heard. And I love the fact that you're able to be reflective in the conversation and say previously, I mean, probably you and I wouldn't have been able to vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now is the time for us to see this transformation. So it's absolutely crucial that at this time, not only is it important for you to vote, but for you to be able to encourage the community around you to get stuck in and vote too. Now, thank you to all of our guests for their valuable contributions. And if you have missed anything, please be sure to catch the repeat on Sunday at 8:30 a.m. But for now, stay safe and see you next Tuesday. Bye.
I'd love another one, please, Mommy, with butter and lots of jam.
Another sandwich.
Clover Batro. Spread the dairy goodness. Made with love by Clover.
Another feel-good production.